During the week I went down to the Ukrainian club, which is in Castle Street, just down there on the way to town, and had a chat with the chairman of the club. He showed us round. Quite a nice place. Got a bar, a big dance hall and a big kitchen and a few rooms and so forth. I was very grateful for the help people have been giving. He said the physical items, boxes of things, were tremendous, absolutely. But now they just want cash, to get the stuff over there. So while I was there, then he talked to us about the suffering going on over there, the invasion by Russia. And so he gave me a short history of the Ukraine, so I thought you might like to hear it, so that you know exactly what it's all about. So a little bit of a history for you. The Slavic tribes occupied Ukraine in the 6th century AD and established Kiev. Saint Cyril and Methodius, who were brothers, brought Christianity, and they invented the Cyrillic alphabet. That's the alphabet is still in use now. Most of the population was Christian by 988. And Kiev was raised by the Mongol raiders in the 13th century. So that was the first invasion. There's lots of them, as you'll see. Then it was annexed by Poland and Lithuania in the 14th century. And then they became a distinct people known as the Cossacks, the fierce warriors. In 1667, Ukraine was partitioned between Poland and Russia. In 1793, integrated into the Russian Empire. In the 19th century, it was mainly agricultural, with few cities and not much urbanisation. Imperial Russia imposed strict limits on attempts to elevate the Ukrainian language and culture, even banning it. During World War I, it achieved independent statehood. In 1921, Western Ukraine was incorporated into Poland and Central and Eastern Ukraine into the Soviet Union. So there's already a bit of a split between the two sides of the countries. During the interwar years, Soviet reaction was severe, especially under Stalin, who imposed terror campaigns that ravaged the intellectual classes. He created artificial famines as part of his forced collectivization policies, which killed millions of previously independent peasants. From 1932 to 1933, at least 3 million people died in famines. The Nazis invaded the Soviet Union in 1941. At first, Ukrainians welcomed them as a liberation from the communist rule, but this did not last. German brutality was directed principally against Ukrainian Jews, and about 1 million were killed. And then against ordinary Ukrainians. Kiev was heavily damaged. Ukrainians began to resist the Nazis as well as the Soviets. After Nazi invasions of Poland in 1939, Western Ukraine regions were incorporated into the Soviet Union. Resistance against the Soviet government forces continued until the 1950s. Under Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, there was relative liberalisation from 1955 to 1964. Under President Gorbachev, national goals were advanced by Ukrainian officials. In 1986, there was the explosion of Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which is located on Ukrainian soil. And the Soviet government's initial effort to conceal the extent of the catastrophe from its own people and from the world was a watershed for many Ukrainians in exposing the severe problems of the Soviet system. And Ukraine became an independent state on August 24, 1991.